Welcome in to another episode of the My Two Bits Gators Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben, joined as always by my faithful other host, Mr. Randy. Randy, thanks so much for picking up my slack when I was not able to be here. Really appreciate that. It was a great pod. I got to listen to it while I was riding from, where was I riding from? Switzerland to Paris, I think. On that train is where I was when I was listening to it. But anyway, it was great to hear. Really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for doing it, and I hope everybody else out there enjoyed it as well. So appreciate it. How you feeling tonight? How you doing?
Hey man, feeling good, feeling great. How are you doing? Yeah, that's a song. No, man, I'm glad you had a good trip. I tried to, as much as my throat, my voice was gone by the end of that. Tried to keep the integrity of it. Didn't want to look at your notes before I started recording, so might have been a little bit broken here or there, but we got the message across and we made it through. So good to have you back, B.
Yeah, man, for sure. No, for sure. And I thought it was great. I thought it really still kind of captured the essence, at least, of what we try to do. Obviously, wasn't the same with only one person, but it still, I thought, really came through with some of the points we were trying to make. So thanks again for doing that. Really appreciate it. And yeah, so we're back tonight at full strength. Hopefully stay that way. For all of you that are in Florida, all the best with the impending storm that's out there, and hope everything turns out as well as it possibly can for everybody who may be listening. So all the best to everybody out there, like I said, and yeah, we're still gonna be here. We're still gonna get through this, and we're still gonna record another episode here and talk a little about UCF. So as always, we will start things off with our intro here, go through our mission, our vision, and our agenda for tonight. So our mission is always to provide factual analysis of all things Florida Gator football. Our vision is to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis will be based on a review of film, and while we will express opinion, that opinion should always be based in some form of fact. We will also evaluate strategy and tactics and discuss our observation of player personnel decisions as well as on-field execution. So, as always, for our pods during the season, our agenda will consist of our Oh My section, and then we will talk about the exciting plays that we saw during Saturday's game. We will then go through the Chomp segment and discuss the offense, the Gator Bait segment to discuss the defense, our visor throw segment to discuss our beefs with what happened or what is happening, our hatchling segment on recruiting, Pride of the Sunshine to go through culture, move back you suck for the officiating review, and finally wrap things up with a state of where things are with the team, play a little keep it or pitch it for this week's game with Tennessee in old Rocky Top. And then I will run through our new feature this season with the sim notes from NCAA 25, of course, and then finally wrap things up with our sign off. So to that end, let's get things started with the home eyes. Get us started, Randy. What'd you see from Saturday that made you stand up and holler?
There was actually a decent amount to stand up and holler, I will say, albeit 98.7% of it came in the first half. No, but either way, it was still good. The first one that I'll point to is our first possession, first drive that started at our own 25. Mertz play action, roll right, passes back left to Badger, touchdown. The way that came about, the play design on that, Mertz's body language on the play action, on the fake, on the roll to turn back left. It was a great sell. Badger had a great route, wide open. And the other thing that I love about that is the fact that it was the first drive, the opening drive, they went 15 plays, 75 yards, took just under 8 minutes out of the clock. So really big to get a score, you know this, on the first possession to set the tone. So there's that. Next one I'll say is, and I might be a poet on this one, but DJ to DK, 37-yard dime on the 1-yard line. Okay, I tried.
I love it. No, I love it. That's fantastic. I love it.
The dude threw an absolute, I mean, he's thrown several, as we know. I know someone came to the Sanford game, but this dude flicks the ball as if the ball weighs ounces just coming out of his arm.
Yeah.
In space, in stride. Shim, he didn't have to go back, turn. I mean, he was just there, and it was there. Beautiful. Awesome.
And it had to be, because that one was fit in a tight little window, honestly.
Woo! Real tight window. Had to be. All right. UF's fourth possession. Mertz on a rollout. You remember the strike to Badger? That was awesome. That was on a rope. However, what you didn't, or those of you might not have either recalled, it was the fact that Mertz threw a stiff arm.
Yeah, he did.
Mertz,
That play was sweet.
right? Mertz with a stiff arm. I mean, I know he's not Derrick Henry, but either way, we'll take it. Another one for me, I know I did this 2 weeks ago talking about Rocco Underwood and special teams. This one goes out to the Aussie himself, Jeremy Crosher. So
yeah, that punt was sick. I know exactly where you're going.
Right? Reverse spin right there, 3-yard line, great pin. And then my last one for oh my.
Oh, you're cheating. You're cheating. You got too many.
I know, but I'm going to sneak it in. Johnson, the jump and reach for the TD. All we'll say is, have you been in the weight room? Have you been on the squat machine? Are you doing your lifts? That's it.
Yeah, that was a sweet jump. That was a sweet jump. But I have to say shame on you. I have to say shame on you, because you gave me 5, and as well as our defense played, you have none for the defense.
I might have had 2 in there that I had to shift them. I had to shift them because I was cheating already.
I get it. There was a lot of good stuff in this game, though honestly, I felt like a lot of the offensive stuff wasn't eye-popping enough. That jump from Trell was tempting to put in there for me too, because that was just such a cool play. But it wasn't, I'll say, explosive enough. So my first one is the Lagway pass to Chim. That was absolutely sweet. I love your rhyme time on it. That was fantastic. Up the seam. What a read, what a ball. Perfect timing and delivery of the throw, as you mentioned. DJ's just really starting to show us more and more as we see him get some more reps, and I am loving it. I am absolutely loving it. Kid has got game for days. I mean, the read on that. So if you look at this pre-snap, so I'm just going to break this down for a second. If you looked at this pre-snap, it looked like a cover 2, right? You had 2 high safety as the pre-snap read. And then immediately, as soon as we go post-snap, that one safety rotated down and the other rotated back, and you saw it actually turned into a cover 1. DJ picked that apart immediately and saw that he was going to have an opening there because it was a cover 1. If that had been a cover 2, that route's not open that way. It's just not. It's going to be covered up. He might be able to throw it to the outside, but the way he threw it to the inside that way, it wouldn't have been there, because the coverage would have shifted differently with 2 deep safeties. That didn't happen because they only had 1 deep in this setup. So an absolutely phenomenal post-snap read, and made almost instantly by a freshman quarterback. It's impressive stuff. Not easy to do. I loved it. I absolutely loved seeing that play. And then you add in on top of it the fact that he throws an absolute dime, as you mentioned. Perfect ball, tight window, but it was there and it was going to be there. So just phenomenal read, phenomenal play. So my next 2 are going to be defensive, which is why I had to call you out there.
Fair.
But so my first one is the 4th and 1 stop by the defense late in the first quarter, coming right after the 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. I think it was called a 3rd and 1, but it was kind of like a 3rd and 1.5. So we stop them on 3rd and 1. And then they go for it, which shocked me because they were on like the 38, 39-yard line. Like, I couldn't believe Malzahn had the guts to go for this that early in the game, first quarter. Like, I could not believe he did that. But I thought at first they were just going to hard count it. But then they didn't. They went for it, and we got them. And we actually played a defensive set that made sense. We didn't have 2 deep safeties sitting back 20 yards off the play when they're in 4th and 1 in a tight, heavy formation, clearly looking to do something to run the ball. Like, we didn't, sell out and play some laid back, we'll give you 5 yards and let you have the first down here, like we've been doing all freaking season. Thank you, Ron Roberts, AA, whoever was involved in this. Thank you. I appreciate it for you actually calling a defense that made some sense. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, but in all seriousness, aside from just the scheme that was implored on it, love the players stepping up, love the backfield penetration, getting back there, making plays. And I believe, if I'm correct, on that 4th down, that was the one Mr. Jack Pyburn absolutely blew up.
Yes, he did.
Rushed that play. Huge shout out to him. absolutely outstanding. Love the way that kid is playing. He is looking amazing coming off an ACL less than a year ago. It's phenomenal stuff. So that is my second oh my. My last one is going to be Mr. Marshall. Jason Marshall having a season. We saw the beginnings of this in the second half of last year, and where we thought he was starting to play a lot better, culminating with the Florida State game. Boy, has he continued that trend and really turned it on this season. He's just an absolute force. There's no two ways about it. I don't know why you're even throwing at him at this point. Like, has he even allowed a pass? I don't even know. Maybe one. I mean, you're not throwing at Marshall right now. He is a no-go. So the one I'm referring to was in the second quarter. He looked beat. He really was beat to an extent. I mean, this receiver had a step on him. KJ did slightly underthrow it, but I mean, it was catchable. Like, the receiver could have got the ball. And Marshall didn't quit. He stuck with the play, got his head turned around, ran as hard as he could, jumps up, and swats the ball out of there. I mean, this looked like NCAA 25. Guys taking place out there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just phenomenal play. Way to not quit on it. Way to show that athleticism, show that five-star talent that he is and that he should be. I mean, for my money, I saw something the other day where he is one of, if not the highest rated corner in pass coverage by PFF so far this season. Are you kidding me? That's wild. Wild. His draft stock is flying up the boards. So good for him. He is treating it like the contract year that he talked about it being in the offseason. So way to go, Jason. Keep it going. So with that, let's move on. Let's talk some offense. Chomp segment. Here we go. As always, start out with some numbers. Mertz and Lagway combined QBR or QB rating, excuse me, which is kind of weird, but I guess it's what we're going to see the rest of the season. So despite the fact that they had a really solid game again from a completion standpoint, this number is going to be toned down a little bit because of Mertz's lack of aggression, or perhaps maybe I should say his propensity for conservative throwing in this game. So to that end, the QB rating for the combo here was 112.65, despite going 23 for 28 for 229 and a touchdown. And the reason that it's, and now that's not bad rating, let's be clear, right? Anything over 100 on this rating is good. We talk about that all the time. So it's a good rating, but really you want to be, over 120 before we start talking about being really good, right? And we weren't quite there, despite a really good completion percentage, once again, despite a, really solid game. And the reason why is because your average yards per attempt were quite low with what Mertz was throwing a lot of out there. So next number is going to be your yards per carry. We averaged, once we took out the team yardage, I did count Mertz's yardage despite sacks in this game, which I think he did have one sack that he gave up. But I did count his yardage because he scrambled a couple of times. So I did count his, which we would usually take it away, but I did count it in this case. And then the only thing I took out was the team negative yardage. So overall, we were a 4.66 yards per carry, which is quite solid. So nothing wrong with that number. Overall, thoughts on the offense: strong, solid start, especially with that opening drive, as you mentioned, very methodical, which normally I'd be like, okay, here we are doing our, just work the ball, down the field, 3 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards, type of thing. However, that was a good thing. Like you mentioned, 15 plays, 75 yards. That was a good thing to play some ball control against a team that is so obviously focused on the run, right? Get that 8-minute drive out there and suck some clock away from them so that they don't have the chance to do the same to you, right? It was a really good thing, actually. So I liked that drive. And I didn't think Mertz was so hyper conservative on that first drive. That kind of came later. Mertz, on a positive note, was really good in his accuracy in this game. He's had some accuracy issues kind of all season. He's really missed some balls, not just deep balls either. He's thrown some stuff behind guys. He's missed some balls he shouldn't have, and I thought those looked much better this season. So maybe that off week really kind of helped him dial some stuff in. I don't know. I hope we see more of that going forward. He's got to be accurate with those intermediate throws. That was something he was really pretty good about last season. And frankly, it's not looked as good this year, and it needs to be better. So that was good to see. But again, as the game went on, he just got extra conservative. I mean, he would look downfield. I have to believe there had to be something, because again, we're not talking about a good defense here with UCF. We're just not. They're not good defensively, and he wouldn't throw it. and he'd check it down, and he wouldn't throw it, and he'd check it down, and he wouldn't throw it, and he'd check it down, or he wouldn't throw it and he'd scramble. Like, that's what we saw all game long. I don't know his air yard numbers for this game. They can't have been good. They just can't have been good. So I'll move on. O-line looked really good pass blocking. They brought a lot of blitzes in this game. We picked them up. Now, that's not all on the O-line. I have an honorable mention here in a second. But what was on the O-line, they did a good job with. Nobody was getting beat in their one-on-ones. Like, they were holding their own. Good pass blocking. Still struggled run blocking. This is not a good run blocking O-line for whatever reason, which I can't really figure that out. I don't know if it's they don't understand the concepts of the zone blocking, if they're a better gap blocking team. I don't know what it is, but they're not good at run blocking in this offense currently. So that's something I'd still like to see a lot of improvement with, but it is what it is. My honorable mention call out here is to the running backs. Johnson or Baugh, either one, had some outstanding blitz pickups. I watched Johnson absolutely truck a linebacker coming through a wide open A gap. That dude got blown up coming through that gap. I don't think he knew what hit him. It was phenomenal. One of the best blitz pickups I've seen all season. Johnson likes to hit people, man. He's messing some people up out there, whether he's got the ball in his hands or not. You know, obviously that blindside block, terrible call from last week. That was absolutely atrocious. You did a great job of calling that out. Johnson's out there hitting people, man. I love it. I love it. Go get him.
Oh, yeah.
DJ, of course, as we talked about, looked solid moving on in the offensive stuff here. I still don't think he's getting enough opportunity to look for deep shots, but I think that was also somewhat limited this game with no Wilson or Mizell on the field. Still don't know why Mizell wasn't on the field, but we'll leave that one alone. And last but not least, second half obviously was a very different story offensively. We just got super conservative, both in the play calling and, of course, in Mertz's kind of overall decision making, even more so. And it just continues to show why Napier and his offense simply aren't the answer. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got. What do you got for Chomp?
Okay. Not too bad. Not too bad. I thought you were going to
No,
get a
no.
little bit animated there, but
No, I'm not gonna tear them apart, man. They
okay.
played a really good first half. I mean, it was the same vanilla stuff that we always see, but it was solid, right? And I should say this. I'm sorry. I loved that we got a field goal in under a minute. I love that he used the timeouts and that we got a field goal in under a minute before the clock went out when we weren't getting the ball back to start the second half. Good on you, Billy. You did the right thing. Good on you. I will give you that. I will give you that. Clock management has been a nightmare for him. He played that perfectly. Good for you.
Awesome. Folks, we had B end on a good note. And
there you go.
So I'll take it. I'll take it. Right. So at the end of the day, completely agree with everything you said there, B. We got a little variance in play calling in the beginning. I will say that it was extremely important for us to come down the field and score. For UCF to win the toss and defer, that like never happens. And so maybe that was Malzahn's way of going, hey, Billy, here you go, check. Let's see what you do, because Malzahn has his own little Mad Hatterish ways about him, right?
He does.
That was what it was. I agree with you, man. I had two big call-outs for Johnson and Baugh. They picked up on Johnson on UF's fourth possession. And the key thing about this is you're like, okay, well, they picked up a blitz. Great. That's what they're supposed to do. Yes, but it's also the result, because on that particular play that Johnson picked up the blitz, Mertz found Hansen on a 3rd and 3, and Hansen rumbled and tumbled for a first down. And so that kept that drive alive. So that was great. And then Baugh picking up that, and Baugh is a freshman.
Yeah. And looks so good. And looks so good. And looks so
great.
Good.
It looked great. Okay, the back-to-back possession. This was on the UF's 5th possession, and Mertz, if you remember, hits Tank across middle for a huge first down game. Explosive, huge, right? So I thought those two. There were a couple of other smaller blitz pickups, but those two really stood out in a phenomenal, better than average of what we have done so far this fall first half. So I'll just leave it at that. Another call out to Jake Slaughter. And for those of you who don't know, he graded out number 1 An FBS pass blocking at 90.3, number 7 overall, 78.3 out of 281 centers in FBS. This report was updated on 10-5.
Yeah, that's so far. That's so far this season, right?
Bingo.
Yeah, yeah, he is crushing it.
No sacks allowed. Jake Slaughter, well done. Awesome. We need some stability along that offensive line that has just been wavering this year. So good job, Jake. Another one that I have is going back to Terrell. You know, I don't know if people realize this. He owns 31 career rushing touchdowns, 19 while at UF, right? But currently, he is the highest. He has the highest of any active SEC rusher. What?
Nice.
Kind of crazy to think, right? I agree with you. Run blocking, it's those little things, right? And that's the main reason why it's not because we're missing a certain body. No. Let's make that very clear. It's because of the run blocking and some of that scheme up front. It's just not there. It's not where we need it to be. It's not finely tuned. Rob Sale. I wonder if that, it's like how you say Beetlejuice 3 times. If he magically appears and does something, but I guess he doesn't. It in the spirit of Halloween, of course, but and the new movie Beetlejuice. Nor that's a plug. Not that we're getting paid for that, but I swear this offensive line.
We should be.
Maybe we should, right? This offensive line is as good as it can be, as good as we thought it was going to be with the size and the scope and the. It's just still a head scratcher for me, regardless of what else has transpired in those wins. I will say against Mississippi State and UCF, past couple of weeks, obviously minus the bye week, the dual QB system is quasi working, right? Because between Mertz and Lagway, they're 49 of 55 with 506 yards. Not terrible.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Right? Because if you remember my quote a couple pods ago, I said, well, how the hell is a dual QB system going to work? We barely can do well with one. But again, I really do think it has to do with the relationship between Mertz and Lagway. If they don't have that sound of a personal relationship, then no, nothing's doing.
Yeah.
My next call out for Chomp is going to be explosive plays. 7 of them.
Nice.
7 explosive plays.
I wouldn't have been able to tell you we had that many. That's cool.
Yeah, right. Okay, so DJ to DK, that was 37 yards, right? Mertz to Badger, 19 yards. Mertz to Tank, 31 yards. Mertz to DK, 20 yards. Montrell Johnson, 34-yard rush in that second quarter romp.
Jacoby Jackson had a big one late in the game.
That was a 19-yarder, and then Mertz to DK again for a 24-yarder. Yes, sir. You got it.
Yeah.
So the explosives, we need to get at 8. We need 2 per quarter. We need 8, and guess what? 7 will put us right on par there to attain that 8 for what we need to shift momentum, strike fear into the hearts of defenses.
Yeah, the problem is what you just listed is 5 of them were in the first half and only 2 were in the second.
And just like someone who finishes my sandwiches, he took the other part. That is correct, sir. It all happened in the first half, so shame on that.
Yeah.
And then my last call out has got to be on our 6th possession, 48 seconds left in the half. DJ's in. So we're thinking, okay, 48 seconds, DJ's in, rush, half. No, we got aggressive. We got in field goal range. Smack puts it up. We lead in the half 24-3. I agree with you. Good on Billy. Using timeout, using the scheme. 48 seconds left with your true freshman quarterback to get points on the board going into the half. Boom.
Yeah. And credit to DJ, man. He's been in a bunch of different, difficult situations when he's coming to the game, whether it's pressure 2-minute drill there, the couple drives from the 5 last week that you called out against Mississippi State. And he just keeps producing, man. His poise is just outstanding. It's really, really impressive. All right. Let's close that out. We spent more than enough time talking about offense in a game where half of it we were bad. So let's talk some defense, man. I'm excited to talk defense. First time I've been able to say that in quite a while for this team, like, maybe 5, 6 years. I don't know. But let's talk some defense. Give me your thoughts on defense. I'll start you off. I'll give you some numbers real quick because I don't know if you have them in there or not. Jefferson's QB rating 59.85. Yeah, that's not good. And 2.7 yards per carry allowed. Now that's some numbers we like to see. All right, take it away. Give me some Gator bait, buddy.
Awesome. I appreciate those numbers. Well, I think the main thing that I've got to say regarding the defense is they held UCF to 29 rushing yards, 90 passing yards, 119 total first half yards.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 for 7 on third down.
Yes.
10 minutes, 48 seconds time of possession. We doubled them up on time of possession in the first half. Right. Absolutely great. Now, they finished the game with 27 minutes of possession. We finished with 32. So obviously the second half was a different story, but either way, if I can say this for this defense, a dominant first half.
Yeah, you can.
Did I just say dominant in our defense in the same sentence?
I mean, we gave up 3 points and like you said, 10 minutes of time of possession and 119 yards to one of the most prolific offenses in the country.
Bingo.
Like it or not, that's the truth. They were one of the most prolific offenses in the country coming into this game. They were top 10 offense in the country.
Exactly. It's funny, B. I threw Jack in here because he was in oh my, but I had to throw him in here. UCF second possession. Pyburn comes in, blows up that 4th and 1 for a total rundown. He has been an absolute wrecking ball.
Yeah, man. He's been really good. I need to see him get more snaps. I'm not even going to lie. I love that he got the start in this game. We still didn't get enough snaps. I don't have a snap count, but he wasn't on the field enough. I need Pyburn in the game more. Seriously. He's blowing stuff up. Like, he needs to play more. I don't really care. Like, we talk about, this is something we mention in our vision, and we don't talk about it enough. Honestly, I don't think player personnel decisions, in fairness, I don't think it's been too much of an issue with Napier until this season. There's some stuff we may even need to add a little segment for this, possibly going forward. Maybe we put it in visor throw. I don't know. But there are some player personnel decisions this season that are starting to really get under my skin. We're seeing too much rotation on the D line, in my opinion. Not that I think rotation is bad there, but we're just rotating guys seemingly for the purpose of rotating guys. Like, if Pyburn is in there making plays every time he's in the game or darn close to it, keep him in the game. I'm not saying he needs to play, 60 snaps on defense, but he should play 40 and he's playing 25. No. Play him more. He has got to see the field more if he's in there blowing up the play 60, 70% of the time when he's in. I want him on the field more if that's what he's going to do. Like, put the guys in that are making a difference and making an impact. We're doing that in the interior of the line. Banks and Jackson are playing all the time, right? We're bringing Dez in kind of situationally, which, frankly, Dez is not doing all that I'd like him to do. He's the force he is because of his size, but he's not like moving people the way I want him to move them. And but Banks and Jackson are killing it, and they're in the game a lot, so that's good. But then on the outside, we're swapping guys all over the place, and it's like, what are we doing that for? We're bringing in. I'm sorry to bring your boy up, but we're bringing in Boone for the same amount of snaps as Pyburn, and I see him in the backfield once a game. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Sorry, that's a whole diatribe that I don't need to be making during your time. But go ahead.
That's good. No, it's fine. No, I agree. Boone has been one of the biggest, I don't want to say disappointments because you're coming off ACL surgery, but at the same time, look at Pyburn. Pyburn's coming off ACL surgery the same way, and Jack is playing like a man on fire.
Yep.
No reference to Denzel Washington. The great there.
Nice. How many movies we gonna work into this thing? Let's go.
At least 6. UCF's third possession, they attempted a reverse. If you remember this, and Gates,
baby,
the separation.
What a play.
Separated off his man, made a stout tackle, and put them in negative yardage. Phenomenal job.
And if he doesn't make that play goes for a huge gain because there's nobody else on the backside.
Nobody. Agreed. To your point you made earlier, B, UCF led the nation but people might not realize this, led the nation, you heard me, UCF, the Knights, with 46 rushes of 10 plus yards.
Yep.
In our game, they were held to 3 rushes of 10 plus yards, with the most being 13 yards.
And for the record, how many rushes did they attempt in this game, folks? 40.
40.
40.
Bingo. So phenomenal job there. Florida limited UCF, right? I was mentioned 29 yards rushing, 119 first half. The defense held them to a total of 273 with 108 rushing. Okay, that's, again, I know it sounds strange to say leading the nation UCF, but they did. They did. The Knights' 273 yards marked the third fewest gained by a Gus Malzahn team or offense in his 13 seasons as a head coach.
Wow, nice stat. Nice stat. Heck yeah, we'll take that. That's a great stat.
Yes, sir. And here's the thing: UCF's offense overall was number 4 in the nation, averaging 543.3 yards per game, 326 of those yards being rushing, and the rushing was ranked 2nd nationally. And we hold them to a total of 273. Good night, game over, drive home safely. That's it. That's it. That is just phenomenal. We had 5 sacks in this game. We had 8 in the previous 4 games. Think about that for a second. Okay, done. First time this season holding that power 4 under 20 points. That was great. I hated seeing the touchdown in the third quarter, but that was what it was. Really wanted to see just field goals across the board, but it's okay. We forced UCF 4 of 12 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down. And I'll tell you what, the last thing I'll wrap up with is we mentioned Pyburn. I mentioned Gates. We've mentioned Gums. And the next one I'll mention is Pup Howard. Pup had a leg tackle on KJ.
Yeah.
Right?
Big sack.
And KJ's a big boy. And that forced a 4th and 19. UCF might have gotten a field goal, but it killed another drive. And all I'm going to say is they might call him Pup, but boy, does he have a big bite. I'll just leave it at that.
Does.
There's my Gator bait, B. What you got?
I love it. Some great nuggets in there, man. I really love that Malzahn stat. I don't know where you found that one, but that's a cherry one right there, buddy.
ESPN, sir. ESPN.
Good stuff. I like it. And yeah, I'll call out. I don't have Pup specifically called out here. I mean, maybe I do a little bit in one point, but man, does that guy miss a tackle? Jeez, he is. What a great pickup. Portal work. Well done. I give Napier a lot of credit on that one, or whoever went out and got him, whether it was him or Armstrong, because Armstrong's technically the linebackers coach. Whoever made that they did a great job getting Pup down here. Well played. He's a player, man. Really like him. All right, so I'm so happy to be able to talk positively about the defense. I was getting so annoyed with this defense, even last week. I mean, or 2 weeks ago. I apologize when I wrote up those notes and sent them to you, man. As much as it was nice to put up a good showing on the road and put up a nice number on the scoreboard, and the offense really did look great in that game.
Yeah.
Also against the bad defense. In fairness, maybe that one's probably worse than the one we just played. That defense is pretty awful at Mississippi State, but in fairness, their offense is competent, but this offense in theory is better in some ways. They don't pass the ball as well, but they sure run the ball better. And man, we came to play. It wasn't perfect, but we were so much better than what we've been for the entirety of the season. I mean, Mississippi State couldn't run the ball coming into our game, and we let them run for 240 yards. I mean, that's just horrible. And then we come out and we take an offense that's averaging, I don't know if it was still over 300 yards after Colorado, but going into Colorado, it was over 300 yards a game. Almost, I think it was damn near 400 yards a game. And we keep them to 108 rushing yards?
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? That's good against any team, much less one of the best rushing teams in the country. That's phenomenal. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal. This is what I thought we were going to get from this defense when we started this season. This is what I expected. maybe even the high end of what I expected, but what I thought we were going to get. We were consistently getting in the backfield with our front four, particularly in the middle. Great game, as I mentioned, from Banks and Jackson. They absolutely crushed in this game. They were a force. Those guys in the middle, those tackles, they don't get a lot of credit. They often don't actually make the tackle, but when they're in there disrupting the play, that's what lets your linebackers, your edge rushers, even your corners and your safeties make those plays. It's because it disrupts the flow of the play and doesn't let the running back or the quarterback in this case get downhill right away. It disrupts them. It disrupts the timing. And that's what allows for those tackles for loss or tackles for short gains to be made. But you don't get that if you don't get that push up the middle in a lot of cases, or sometimes from the edge in Pyburn's case. Our edge rushers, to that point, got home along with our linebackers when they did pass. Gums, Howard, Sapp all had excellent games. 5 sacks in this game. They only passed the ball 22 times, or only attempted to, and we sacked them 5 times. That's like 20% of the times they dropped back to pass, we sacked them. That's pretty good. Actually, that's not even right, because they wouldn't have had an attempt when they sacked them, so I apologize. But regardless, they we did a really good job there. So I guess it's like 20. Well, that would have been 25 if it's out of 20. So it is roughly 20% of the time they drop back, because they had 5 of their dropbacks. But nonetheless, that's really good that we got there 5 times when they barely passed the ball, right? I mean, we didn't get a lot of opportunities is the point, right? That's the moral of the story there. So, and the fact that we did that, and it's the most sacks, ties the most sacks in a game this season with Samford, which is an FCS opponent, and from a stat I read, which I can't confirm, so in the interest of providing accurate information, I did read this. I don't have it fact checked, but I read it ties the most we've had in a game under Napier in his tenure. So I can't.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, so if you've got that validated, then cool. But yeah, so heck of a game. When you only have 27, I guess, dropbacks and you get 5 sacks, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Not a lot of opportunities to get 5 there. So I have to be fair. I have to be balanced. I have to, give both sides of the story here. Secondary was still a bit passive, especially over the middle. We were a little lax in coverage there. A lot of soft zones, a lot of keep it in front of you stuff. That's a scheme thing. I'm not calling players out necessarily, though I think there were some times where maybe there were, I won't call it coverage busts, but it was a little soft over the middle. But Moore looked better in pass coverage. And as I've already mentioned, Marshall is just a no-fly zone. I mean, you're just not throwing the ball there. So the corners looked pretty good. Safeties, questionable. Thornton continues to impress in pass coverage, though. Really, really like him in pass coverage. He had that breakup in the end zone on that first drive to prevent the touchdown. Not that ball was necessarily going for a TD, but again, he just looks good in pass coverage, man. I like him in coverage. He looks like what Castell looked like last year, and Castell looks like he just doesn't know how to cover anymore. I don't get it, but it's really weird. Anyway, all in all, really great to see the defense play together, play solid, and play aggressive. Thank you. I'll give credit where credit's due. The coaches got this one right from almost start to finish with the scheme. The players got it right with the way they played together, with the way they communicated. There was an article that came out about Napier miking up multiple players and how they were talking to get feedback on this. I don't know why we waited till week 5. It's kind of like Ricky's comment last season in the South Carolina game, talking about how everybody was locked in for the first time. It's like, all right, no, not sure why we waited till week 5 or week 6, really, because of the bye. Not sure why it took so long, but, hey, we're making progress. I'll take it. But no, overall, it was a great defensive game. It honestly was. It was a great defensive game. It wasn't without flaw. It wasn't perfect. But it was as good as I've seen Florida play on defense in a really long time, to be quite honest with you. I mean, a really long time. I got to think back quite a ways since I've seen us shut down a team like that. I mean, we turned the lights out on a good offensive team. That's the thing. This isn't like this was an average team we were going up against offensively. No, they are good. Make no mistake. And we shut them down. That's impressive. At the end of the day, that's impressive. So you can't overlook that, and you got to give credit where credit's due. And I'm very happy to be able to give credit where credit's due here, to our defense. So hats off. All right, moving along to continue to taking our hat off with a visor throw. You like that? You like that? Yeah, yeah. Little segue.
I'll take the segue. I'll
All
pick up what
right,
you're putting
so
down.
I've only got two things here. I'm going to keep it real short and sweet. I already mentioned the second half offense. It's just inexcusable. Um, that's a bad defensive team. They do not have good numbers defensively. They do not have good talent defensively. And we had 108 yards and 0 points in the second half. Play calling, ultra conservative. However, I'm also going to call out Mertz for his lack of aggression, as I already did, and I'm going to continue to do it. Where was the looking deep, Mertz? Where were the deep shots, Mertz? Where was that as part of the game? I think the deepest ball he threw all night was the one that he threw downfield to either Badger in the end zone or who was wide open, or the one he threw to Chim that you mentioned earlier that went for 25 or whatever it was, but that was a lot of yak. So that wasn't that deep a ball either. He did not throw the ball deep at all. The mid-range is as deep as he threw it all night. Not even an attempt. Way too conservative. Just way too conservative. Not going to get it done. And then again, also obviously the play calling, it was just super conservative in the second half. It was, hey, we got a big lead, let's just hold on to it. Typical Billy. It's what he does. We saw this last year with Tennessee. We've seen it in multiple other games. When he gets a big lead, he just pulls everything back. He pulls the reins in and he tightens down the screws and just calls everything underneath. Calls a lot of running plays. Let's just hold on to the ball. Let's just hold on to the lead, and let's just hope we pull it out. And that's just scared football. That's scared money. Now I will give him credit. He made a real scared money don't make money play call and going for that 4th and long on his own side of the field. Give him credit there. That was a go for broke play. Love that. But I did not love a lot of play calling in the second half. So it brings me back to my point that I'm going to keep making until he's gone, and that is Napier is not the answer here. And the longer we hold on to him, the more of a disservice we do to this program. We are not helping ourselves by continuing to keep Napier as the coach at this point. We just aren't. It's not personal. I like Billy. I think he's a good dude. I obviously don't know him personally, but he impresses me as being a good person. He obviously knows how to build culture. He knows how to build, good people. I think he's a good person, as I said. He's shown that over and over again, but he's also shown over and over again that he's just too conservative. He's too strategic and doesn't know how to adapt. He sets his plan, as I mentioned before, and that's his plan, and he doesn't know how to deviate from his plan. The thought in this game was that he was going to run Mertz out the first 2 and then Lagway the third, and then whoever had the hot hand, he was going to try and ride it. What did we see? 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Where was the hot hand getting ridden? He doesn't know how to do it. He has a plan and he has to stick to it. He has no ability to improv. He just doesn't. We see it in the play calling, we see it in the play design, we see it in everything that he does. And I appreciate that plans work in some cases, and in a lot of cases they're not a bad thing. But you've got to be able to adapt. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. I think you know where that quote comes from.
Oh my goodness. Wow, what a flashback.
I'll take you back to 9th grade. Shout out to Mark Carsons. And yeah, there is a lot that can come from the ability to do that. And he just doesn't have it. And we're not better for it. And again, it's not personal. It's just business, and it is what it is. And the sooner we move on from it, the better we are. And again, I'm going to keep saying it until that comes to pass. So that's all I got. That's my visor throw. Where are you at?
Gotcha. Mine might get a little bit dirtier than yours, even though
Fair enough.
Strong position to want him removed, but that's okay. I understand why. First throw. Bubble pass to Johnson on 3rd and 4. Poor execution leads to a 4th and 7 and a punt and a killed possession. I don't know what it is about a bubble pass, a screen pass, whatever you want to call it, but it seems like every time we line up for one, or let me rephrase that, the majority of times that we line up for one, we line up for it and it's snapped really quick. And for whatever reason, we don't get set, we don't block, we don't. To me, I hate bubble passes, screen passes, whatever you want to call them. I just think they're a wasted play. That's just me. Okay, moving on. You have seventh possession, third quarter, terrible run call in 3rd and 12, forces 4th and 7. And what happens? Hey, it's okay. Trail bail us out, right? Not from 53 in the right hash.
He almost did.
Almost. But how in Sam Hill do we call a run? Again, third quarter, we talked about going conservative on 3rd and 12. Really? Really? That happened. Okay.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it was third and long between the 40s, buddy. What did you think was going to happen?
Not wrong. Not wrong. Again, we have case law here. There's been precedent set. We get it. My next throw, injury bug. Aiden Mizell seemed healthy all week, but again, was listed on injury reserve. Okay, fine. Mizell out. Webb out. Daniels out. Livingston out. Slackman out. Slackman? Really? Is he really that banged up? Jakeem Jackson, Asa. Hopefully we get Asa back in a couple of weeks. Maybe this coming week we'll see. And Trey, of course. Trey, I tell you what, he was on there on the field in warm-ups. Looked decent, but again, it was a coaching decision. Say, you know what? Let's rest you. We'll need you more next week. Make sure you're full strength, good to go. So obviously Trey did not play. So, injury bug. Really? Really? It's just frustrating to see all these bodies out. Good bodies out. Okay, next throw. Highest penalty game this season. So just to recap, for Miami, 2 penalties for 25 yards. Samford, 7 penalties for 77 yards. Florida West, 7 penalties, 65 yards. Mississippi State, 6 penalties, 54 yards. Against the Knights, we had 8 penalties for 64 yards. Oddly enough, we're still a top 30 in the nation with regards to fewest penalties. But outside of that, still tough to give up 8 penalties, especially at home. Especially at home. Next throw of the visor. Giving up. So we gave up a 28-7 lead at Mississippi State. They came back. Then we increased the lead. But here's the thing. Giving up a 24-3 halftime lead against UCF. To finish the game winning 24-13. That's it. Nothing out of the second half. No killer instinct. No ability to stomp on throats, whatever the case, whatever you want to call it, right? No killer instinct whatsoever. Going conservative. Okay, we're up. Okay, everybody just throw the ball around like in Pee Wee and make sure everybody participates. And no.
Yeah, and he even says on the interview at the fourth quarter start that they need to finish strong and have a good fourth quarter and really make sure they don't he didn't say get too conservative, but he just said, I don't know if you saw that in the replay, but because I know you were there, but he says that they got to make sure that they finish out the game with a solid fourth quarter and really finish strong, finish well. Don't lose the opportunity, right, to play strong, to close out the game. I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it was something to that effect, right? He didn't use the word conservative, but he definitely talked about staying aggressive and being strong and all this. And it's like, you didn't do any of that. And I know part of it is your fault because I saw the plays that were getting called. It just drives me nuts. It just drives me nuts.
It does. I will call out one thing on the defense that I was going to do in defensive review, but we didn't have any of them except for this one, the busted coverage on the wheel route, which led to UCF's biggest gain of the night, the 35-yarder.
Good call. Yeah, that was the one. That is the one that I would say was a full blown coverage. That is fair.
Yes. And then and the other one that just kind of again, great running back. Harvey is a phenomenal running back. He's right up there in the nation this year, top 3 running backs in the nation. But on their 8th possession, which by the way started their own 17-yard line, they're okay. Oh, yeah, and by the way, it was in the second half. He bounced 3 tackles
Yes.
and
Yeah.
juked his way for their only score of the night. Really
Yeah.
would have loved to see a shutout there as far as from a touchdown standpoint.
Yeah.
So that was a throw. I hate to say that was a throw. And then
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish off my visor throw segment with my last visor throw, which I'll take. You want to talk about a 9th grade reference? I'll take you way back. For me, it was a tale of 2 halves. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was supposed to be the age of accountability. It was supposed to be the age of communication. It was the epic of offense. It was supposed to be the epic of incredulity. It was a season of light. It was a season of darkness. It was the fall of hope. It was the fall of despair. And I'll digress and leave it the rest.
Preach. Preach. Good
That's it.
stuff.
That's all I got for visor throw, man. Visor's pretty dirty.
Yeah, yeah, Visor's pretty dirty for sure, but all your points are super valid, and you went real specific there, and I went pretty broad, but I think points well taken, points well taken. So,
Yeah.
with that, we will clean them up and put them in the wash and move on to next week and see what happens coming out of Rocky Top. So there we go. Let's move on. Let's talk a little hatchlings. What you got for recruiting?
I don't have much on recruiting, to be honest with you. It's been really quiet as far as anything else, as far as losing any other commitments this week.
But we did lose one. I think you might have missed it in the cycle. We lost Demetrius Samuel, 4-star safety out of Heritage in good old Palm Bay, in your old
You,
stomping grounds.
you know what? For some
Um,
reason, I thought we brought that up, but last week was a bye. Never mind.
yep. That's probably why. Yep. So we did lose him to the flip. That is Marcus May's cousin, by the way, for those who may not know. So a
Yeah.
legacy in a manner of speaking. So really not a great look to lose him. Though he was technically a flip from Syracuse to begin with, but now he's flipped back, which is super unusual. That doesn't normally happen, so it's not a great look. Frankly, I think this is going to continue to happen to some degree. Though this did happen before this game, it was happening after the defense was still looking like a train wreck. So hopefully now that it looked a little better, we don't have any fallout from this. And it didn't look a little better. It looked a lot better. Let's be fair. It looked a lot better. So hopefully no fallout from this week. It was good to have that happen at home. I'm sure we had recruits in the stands. I don't have specific names. Didn't see that. I saw a lot more reports on that last season as far as who was attending games and recruiting prospects. I'm not
Right.
I'm not seeing as much of that being reported on this season. I don't know why. Maybe because of all of the stuff around Napier and his tenuous situation with coaching. Maybe it's just not being reported the same way. I don't know. But we're also not getting any new commits, which this class, as you know, is very shallow. So the fact that we're not having any new commits is bad. This class is not deep at all. And it needs to get a lot deeper before signing day, which is only 2 months away. So that's not good. And certainly losing guys at this point is not good either. So things are not pointing in an upward direction in recruiting right now. Just being honest, calling spade a spade at this point.
You're not wrong.
It's not good. And the problem is going to be the longer we wait to fire Napier, because it's going to happen. Barring some kind of, epic turnaround where we win every game but 2 left on our schedule, which just isn't going to happen. You're not going to have a class that's going to be good. And if you wait till the end of the season, that makes recruiting even harder. So you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Just do the deed, Strickland. Come on, get it done. Moving along. Pride and Sunshine. Let's talk a little culture. I loved seeing the team play the way they did this weekend. Again, despite the continued negative noise outside the program, as we just mentioned, around Napier, around everything that's going on. Everything you read, even after the win last week, was not positive, right? It was, we won, but right? We won, but the defense sucked. We won, but Napier's still going to get fired. We won, but, it's not enough to save his job. We won, but, everything was negative. We won, but every article I read. And yet this group continues to fight hard. They continue to play well. We see the defense show out in a way that we haven't seen in, as I said, years. Who saw that coming? I didn't. I didn't see that coming. Was I happy to see it? You bet. So the fact that this team will continue to play together for each other, that they have this cohesiveness, this competitive spirit, this ability to play for each other, for their coaches, for the university. I love it. I absolutely love it. I will give Billy all the credit in the world. He knows how to build a culture, man. He may not have the ability to adapt. He may not have the ability to do anything but work his plan. But part of his plan is building a culture, and man, he has that down. He has that down because this team is as good as any team that I've seen at overcoming all kinds of adversity and still playing their hearts out. Whether they play well, whether they don't, whether they've got positive press, negative press, it doesn't seem to matter. They just go out there and they try. They try. I'll give them all the credit in the world for that. I love that about this group. It's one of my favorite things about watching this team, and frankly, any team that Napier's had play. I give him all the credit in the world for that. That was something that I think was really lacking with the groups under Mullen. If he had guys that gave a damn more, quite frankly, those teams would have been a lot better.
Oh boy, yeah.
You'd had more titles and less shoe throws.
Oh.
That's all I have to say about that. What you got on Friday, Sunshine?
Awesome. I too enjoyed seeing the team just have a good time. I've said this in the past: play free, play loose, but play with discipline, play with purpose. I love the fact I didn't realize this. I heard this on the broadcast when I was listening to or watching it on Sunday, but Mertz and Lagway spend either the night before or 2 nights before, like just locked together, right? Rooming together, whatever, just getting ready for the game, going over the plays, going over the scheme, going over the 2 and the 1 and the 2 and the 1 and all that stuff. I love the fact that when they're coming over to the sideline, it's always mutual. I love the fact that when they go into the QB tent, they're right there shoulder to shoulder. I just dig that. Love it. The other thing I loved, to your point, is to see just the overall. I mean, when you look at the negative press, the negative media just around the program in Napier, outside of the Jalen Rashada thing, outside of NIL, outside of recruiting, is the end result within the white lines that we've talked about before, which is why so many people are as frustrated as they are. Understandable, right? And they come out and they compete. Haven't thrown it in at all. Phenomenal. Guess what else I saw on Saturday? There was an AA sighting bumping into a player.
Nice.
AA sighting.
I did not see that. That's phenomenal. AA was on the sidelines?
AA's on the sideline, blue shirt, white visor, I believe, but maybe Ron was up in the box. I don't know, but AA sighting, bumping into some people. Just saying.
So they said Ron's going to be in the box, at least. He was in the box at Mississippi State, and he was going to be in the box probably again for this game. So it means that AA would be able to be up there. So.
Yep. Get up there, Ron. Go. Bye. We don't.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Bye.
For sure.
Yeah. Toodles. TTFN. Florida's lost 4 of last 5 to in-state opponents dating back to 2021. Awesome to get the win. We just won back-to-back games. I know it sounds strange, for the first time in over a year. Back-to-back games, first time in over a year. Okay. The unsportsmanlike penalty on Billy, I don't care. I loved it. Sorry,
yeah,
I did.
Well, we're gonna talk about that in a minute.
No problem, we will. But guess what? The fact that he got lit up for it, I'll take it all day long. I would have loved to have been on the sideline to hear what he actually said. But the emotion, the body language, the gesture, and the tone, loved it. And then last but not least, Scared money don't make money. What in Sam Hill does that mean? Because as far as I'm concerned, to your point, B, in one ear, out the other. Has not even lived up to that moniker. Not even close. Not even close. But I tell you what, on their own 34, 4th and 1, Mertz, great play call on that to go around for the first down run. It didn't, but a lot of people that I said that to at the time, right? The end of that drive, it did end up in points. But guess what it did to? It took an additional 4 minutes and change off the clock. That's time of possession. That's controlling the game. That's showing some grittiness. Yay, rah.
Yep. Yes, sir. Love it. Love it. All right, let's move on. Assuming that was it for you on that.
Copy.
All right, good deal. Let's talk a little officiating. Move back, you suck. And these refs did suck. So there we go. They were not good. Refs were not good in this game. They missed several calls and made several poor ones, in my opinion. I'll call out a few here. Brutal blindside block on Jaden Baugh, not called against UCF on a return. I don't remember exactly when the return was. I believe it was
3 seconds left to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, I thought it was. I was going to say right around the end of the first half. Absolutely brutal hit on him. 100% a blindside and just not flagged. I mean, it was brutal, and I couldn't believe they didn't call it. I mean, as tough as they've been on those calls throughout the season on everywhere in college football, I was just shocked that it didn't get called. I mean, it was a brutal hit, clearly a blindside block, no flag. Okay, well, whatever. The running into the kicker penalty. I didn't think that was the worst flag in the world. You did make contact. He was on his kicking leg. It was a little ticky-tack, but I wouldn't have objected that much to it if it weren't for the fact that 2 punts earlier, not the punt before, but the punt prior, Crawshaw gets laid out after making his kick. Now, he wasn't still on his kicking leg, but he gets leveled. I mean, leveled to the ground, just laid out right after the kick. He had just put his, kicking leg back to the ground and gets demolished, and there's no flag. Now, if you're not calling that, you can't call this one. Goes back to consistency. That was what bothered me about that flag. And I don't know if that's why Napier was yelling. I don't know if it was because it was ticky-tack and, whatever, and he put his hands up as soon as he touched him, whatever the case might be. I don't know what made him lose his cool. But here's what I'm going to say about the flag on Napier. I've never seen that called before in a college game. I have seen Nick Saban blow at least 55 blood vessels yelling at refs on the sidelines. At least. And he's never been flagged. Ever. I've seen multiple coaches absolutely blow a gasket, just lose their minds, spit coming out of their mouths. I mean, they'd be ejected from a baseball game, but football doesn't work that way. And I've never seen that flag. I've literally never seen that flag thrown. So I need your thoughts here. I need your perspective. Because I've never seen it called. Why was it justified here? Obviously, I know you don't know what was said, but why was it justified here when I have seen way more visceral reactions than what Billy had? Not to say he was composed, because he certainly lost it. But why was the flag justified on Billy? Because I can't see it, man. I think it was BS. Give me your thoughts, please.
First of all, you are not wrong. It's sideline warning to that effect. Okay. As far as when it's thrown, I'm sure it's the same in college. I can speak for the high school game as far as if there's an expletive that is said. Sure. No problem. I'm going to light you up. Outside of that, you're not wrong. Saban, Kiffin.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players. Notice how I threw Kiffin in there. Figured you'd like
Mm-hmm.
that. No,
Mm-hmm.
just saying. No, but seriously though, there's a lot, and Napier doesn't seem to drop a lot of expletives, right?
Doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't seem like it. So really, what was said? I tell you, the flag. Two things were ticky tack on that sequence. The actual flag, because that kicker saw Caleb Banks, and I'm telling you, that kicker kept his leg up.
Yeah.
Think he's a damn ballerina. I don't know what he was doing, but he kept his leg up a little bit longer than anticipated. And look at Caleb just coming over. Yeah, he's trying to make a play, but at the same time, he's not being completely violent. He's not being egregious to him. Yeah, he came in, and then hands back. It was not intentional, right? Very ticky tack on the call and very ticky tack on Billy. By the way, the referee Daniel Gautreau. Let me spell Gautreau for you, and let me see if you can guess where he's from. Gautreaux. I rest my case, Your Honor.
I wonder.
I rest my case. Okay. And 100%. That was on my notes as well. Crossaw just got smashed. Nothing.
Yeah, smashed.
And I get it.
I mean, absolutely laid out.
Ball was released, foot down, but got absolutely trucked.
Yeah. I mean, wrecked.
Right? So that was that. And then with that 3 seconds left to go to finish up the first half, ball. I tell you what, go back to the Mississippi State game. Okay. If Ball was the size, okay, of the Mississippi State player that Montreal blew up, Ball would be on the ground.
Yeah,
right?
Being a coma.
Boy. Oh, yeah. Right? Ball would have been on the ground. He absolutely got blown up. What the hell? Okay. We know where our keys are as officials as far as what you're supposed to have in your scope. That was in the middle of the field. We're not talking he was covered up, nothing. That was in the middle of the field, about 10 yards away, not even from where the ball was. Come on. Unacceptable.
Yeah,
okay.
Agreed.
On UCF's 7th possession, they picked up a face mask flag.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have. That was a face mask. Good call.
And they
Good call.
have.
Yeah.
Was that to make up for the 4th possession and the blindside block miss? I don't know. And then UCF's 8th possession in the 4th quarter, the UCF cornerback UF's 8th possession, the UCF cornerback did not turn around, ruled incomplete, led to a 4th and 4 punt.
Yeah. The no PI on that.
Part of the catch is, when you look at a cornerback in the college game, the cornerback needs to turn his head around, locate the ball, and then put the arms up, right? Not just put your arms up.
And if you're calling that ball uncatchable, then you dang sure have to call the ball that Shamar James was defending on uncatchable, and they didn't.
And I rest my case, Your Honor. Shamar, that DPI on Shamar never should have been called.
And he had his head turned around, which was what was so bad about it.
It was just unreal. So Daniel Gautreau, this guy, and again, I've said this time and time again, people, I get it. And you're at high school level, it's different. The game is slower. There's 5 on the field. We don't have all the technological advance. We don't have the eyes in the sky. We don't have the box for review. We don't have Birmingham. So guys, I get it. The call on the field, you're trying to keep the integrity of the game. Well, guess what? Part of the integrity of the game is making the right call and making sure it does not affect adversely the effect of the game. Because maybe if we have some ACC refs, maybe we have a couple different outcomes this season. I don't know.
But to the point that you're making, whenever you make that point, and I know you make it a lot, but whenever you make that point, what I hear when you're making it is that the calls should be better at this level because they have more eyes. And yet,
absolutely.
And yet, here we are talking about time and time again. This is 3 weeks in a row now. Obviously, I wasn't talking about it last week, but it was in my notes. This is 3 weeks in a row that I'm talking to you about a call that I've never seen, that I don't understand, that makes no sense to me how the heck it was flagged. We had the butt targeting. We had the the face side block instead of the blind side block, and
Face
now
side,
we have
sure.
the unsportsmanlike conduct on a coach for yelling at a ref that happens literally every game and never gets flagged. I got nothing, man. 3 weeks in a row, I've got calls that I've never seen flagged that are getting flagged, and I'm just at my wit's end at this point. And this one overall was much worse than the other two in terms of the rest of the game, because the rest of the game was really bad in this case. But in the other games, I didn't think the rest of the game was as bad. It was just the single calls that I'm like, what are you doing? But I could also bring up the targeting on Lagway and how quickly they reviewed that and discarded it, because that kind of threw me off too. But we'll leave that one alone because we don't need to take more time here. But
Sure.
These refs were not good, and I don't understand how it continues to happen, and I don't know what we do about it. It's really not great. It's even worse in college basketball. That's a whole other topic as well. But those refs are just horrific. So anyway, it's a real problem, and I really like to see something done to improve it, but I don't know what we do at this point. But we'll continue to discuss it. We'll continue to draw attention to it. I don't know what else to do. That's all we can do to continue to just try and talk about the problems as we see it. So anyway, anything else you got on officiating?
No, sir, that's it. You summed it up. That's it.
All right. Well, that's all we can do. We can do our part and continue to, talk about it and like I said, try and call attention to something we see as an issue, and that's the best we can do. So moving along, let's wrap things up here. Let's talk about where we think we're at and where we go from here. What do you got on your thoughts on the team after this quality win? This is a quality win. This is the first quality win we've had this season, I would say. So what are your thoughts? Where are you at with the team?
First of all, stop reading my notes, because I literally said this was a quality win as far as recap on where we stand.
I promise we don't compare notes. We don't compare notes.
Darn you to heck. No, seriously. Quality win, I'll take it. I mentioned this before, back-to-back games, 2-game win streak. Don't call it a win streak, folks, but we're there.
Call it a win streak after next week. Oh, sorry.
Fair,
okay.
Fair.
I'm getting a little too confident. I need to back it up.
It's all right, B. It's all right. I hear it emulating through the mic. I'll take it. Here's the other thing too. It's fun. I think you mentioned this earlier, but we're miking up players on defense on an off week to figure out where the communication breakdown is. Going back to Pearsall, South Carolina, the comments, Hey, we're ready 6 games in, right? 6 weeks. This is what we're doing to realize or try to spot the communication failure. Whatever. Okay, sure. Okay. We're 3-2. Is there a path to 5-2 through the first 7? Maybe. Again, going back to my earlier comment, maybe if we had ACC refs, I don't know, right? Because technically Miami should have 2 losses, but whatever. It is what it is. The players really, for whatever reason, call it continuity, call it the culture, call it the system, sounds like a cult. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, the players really do love playing for Billy. Will they continue to rally around him? What does recruiting look like moving forward? I have no clue, but it seems pretty quiet. Seems like crickets to me. That's the other thing too. With all the articles that we read, it seems like there was going to be red shirts and talks of transfers. And Trey didn't have knee surgery. He's waiting to transfer. He's going to go into the portal. He's only playing 4 games to keep his eligibility, and red shirt and this. And you think some of this stuff was going to happen, but seeing the exchange between Trey and Billy down the field pre-game when they said, you know what, you're not going to suit up. We got to keep you healthy. This is in your best interest. Okay. So some of those, the culture things are there. The other things are there. Is the tough coaching that we need to be there. Is the other set of accountability for the leadership that's supposed to be there, which I have no doubt that is, but is the accountability that goes with that there? Is the emotion, the raw emotion there? We're seeing glimpses and pieces of it, right? Like a flashing light, like an old Celine Dion song. Some of the times it's there. We need to be there more consistently to push through the second half of the season coming up.
Yeah, for sure. A lot more consistently to get through the second half of this brutal season. So, but no, really good points. I concur wholeheartedly. Yeah. Uh, my points are just going to kind of reiterate stuff I've already said here. As I already mentioned, this is the UF I thought we were going to see from the start. This is what I thought we were going to get game one. It took till game 5 and week 6, but hey, I'll take it. If we got it, we got it. I didn't know if we were going to get it at all through 4 weeks of the season. So hey, if we see it, we see it. And this is it. It's a competent offense in the first half at least, and a much improved defense from last season. That's what we saw in this game. Yay! Huzzah! You know that's what we want. If this, yeah, right. If this team can play like they did in the first 30 minutes of this game for the majority of the rest of the season, though, in all seriousness, we can give some teams some problems. Seriously. This is a tough out all of a sudden. If you play defense like you did in the first half and you play offense like you did in the first half, despite the shortcomings that it has, despite the vanilla nature of things that we do on offense, despite the issues that we have at times in the secondary, despite all of the buts, there was a lot of positives. There were still a lot more positives than there were negatives in that first half. A lot more. I can't stress that enough. Now, I don't have tremendous confidence that that's going to be what happens. I got to be real. I think the second half is maybe more indicative of what we'll see more consistently. But hey, maybe not. Maybe it is more of the first half, or maybe it's something in between. But if we can even get something in between what we saw in the first and second halves from the overall team, because the defense stayed pretty consistent for most of the game, really. And if we can see something in the middle of both of those halves for the rest of the season, for the most part, we're still a problem for a lot of the teams on our schedule. Maybe not Georgia, maybe not Texas, right? Maybe we don't give them that much of an issue, though. Georgia not necessarily looking like the world beaters we might have thought they were. Texas kind of is, but I'm still amazed Texas is looking good as they're looking, quite frankly, without their running backs where I thought they would be. But that's a whole other conversation. We'll get there later. But the rest of the teams on our schedule, they're going to have problems dealing with that. They are, if we can play in that manner. So here's hoping for that. Still going to hope for the best. For the mantra all season. It doesn't change. Doesn't change. Hoping for the best. Planning for the worst. Hope for the best. That's it. That's what it comes down to. So with that, we'll close the thoughts out on that. We'll move on. Let's do a little keep it or pitch it. Let's do a little recap. So I want to contextualize what we had for keep it or pitch it last week. I know you were at the end of a very long single talking podcast when you were getting to this part. So I want to give a little context around keep it or pitch it here.
Please do.
These numbers that we had for UCF may have seemed insane. They were based on stats that UCF was producing at the time. So they were not just pulled out of thin air. So when we said UCF is a top 5 rushing team in the country, this was prior to the Colorado game because we didn't have those numbers when I pulled them. And that UF will allow less than 425 yards rushing in the game on Saturday. They were averaging a little over 400 a game when we pulled these numbers. Now, that was pre-Colorado, and Colorado did hold them to significantly less than that. So they're not averaging anywhere close to that now. Well, not anywhere close to it. They were still mid-300s coming into our game. They were mid-300s coming into that game. Mid-300 yards per game rushing. I'm going to say that one more time. Mid-300 yards per game rushing. And we came off a game where we allowed a team that wasn't even averaging 100 yards a game rushing to get 240 in Mississippi State to a team that was averaging mid-300s in rushing, and we held them to 108.
Wild.
So, wow. Good job, defense. That's all I got to say. That's a heck of a showing. So you and I both pitched that we were not going to give up over 425 yards rushing. We definitely got that right. How about we gave up a quarter of that? That's pretty impressive. So we were correct there in the pitch it. Now, we missed this one because we said UCF is averaging over 600 yards per game in total offense. That's right. They were averaging over 600 100 yards per game in total offense. Again, before Colorado, that number did go down, but it was still, I think, north of 500 coming into our game. And we held them to under 300 yards of total offense.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Almost half of what they were averaging coming in, almost half. I think it was about half of what they were averaging we held them to. We pitched it. We said we were going to give up more than 600 yards of total offense. We were way wrong on that one, but hey, I'll take it. So we both missed that one. And then last but not least, they were allowing just over 300 yards per game on defense. We will best that and gain over 400 yards. We pitched that one. We barely got that right because we gained, 390 something, I believe? Is that correct? 396 or something in that neighborhood? I don't remember the exact number, but it was under 400. 359. Okay, so it wasn't quite that, but still, we were right on that when we pitched it. It was just a little under, but well more than enough considering that we held them to such a low number. So at the end of the day, we got that one right as well. So we both went 2-1, agreeing on all our picks, which is highly irregular. And that is going to put us at 8-7 and 7-8 respectively. So we're one pick apart for the season. So to that, let's move on and get to the Tennessee picks here. So Tennessee's defense, and I have not made my picks in advance, which is unusual for me, so I'm making them live. But Tennessee's defense is ranked number 2 in the nation currently. Yes, you heard me right, in yards per game, allowing 227.6 yards per game. Florida's averaging 411.2 yards per game in offense, which is currently 60th in the nation. The Florida offense will produce at least 390 yards this weekend. Keep it or pitch it.
As much as I want to keep it, I will pitch it. I think we're going to get north of 300. I don't know if we can eclipse 390. Let's say worst case, we go for 372, but we're not getting over 390 as much as I want to.
Interesting. This is right on the fence for me. I'm going to. Man. I'm keeping it.
Oh, big money. Scared money really don't make money now, folks.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it. I think that we are well positioned against this. Now, Napier has. I'm actually going to have a little faith in Napier's offensively this week, and the reason why is he's done better against Heupel.
What?
Offensively, I know, it makes no sense, but he's done better offensively against Heupel than any other coach, really, that he's played against. Well, maybe Beamer, Heupel and Beamer. He's done really well against offensively for whatever reason, and I think he's going to call a better game, a more aggressive game. I think he's going to know that he has to score points. I think he's going to pull out the tricks that he does have in the playbook that he, for some reason, doesn't pull out against other coaches, which is a huge mystery to me why he doesn't, but it is what it is. And I'm going to keep it. I'm going to say we get right. I mean, it's going to be close. It could be 395. It's right around this number, and I might miss it. It might be 380, but it's going to be right in this neighborhood. It's a tough number. We picked this number because I thought it was a tough number. I think it's going to be right at it, but I think we get there. So I'm keeping it. It's right on it though. So we'll see. But yeah, I like it. All right. Next one. Florida's averaging 268.6 passing yards per game, good for 35th in the nation, which is actually pretty respectable. Tennessee is allowing only 159.6 passing yards per game, which is very good. That's 15th in the nation, despite having a secondary that is not particularly great on paper, by the way. Florida will throw Mertz and Lagway for at least 275 yards, so above our average. And it will take that, by the way, because the rushing defense is outstanding in Tennessee. It will take that for us to hit that 390 number and then some, I think. So we'll throw for at least 275. Keep it or pitch it.
I will keep this.
Yep, I'm keeping it too. I have to. If I'm picking the 390, I have to keep this one. No question.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, because there's no way we're running. There's no way we're running for $150 against Tennessee. It's just not happening. Not with our run blocking. There's no way. So okay. Last but not least, Tennessee's rushing offense produces 267.2 yards per game. This one is crucial, by the way. I'll get to that in a second when I give you the sim notes. This is a crucial stat. This may decide the game, actually. They produce 267.2 yards per game, number 5 in the nation in rushing offense. Florida's defense is allowing 172.6, good for 101st in the nation. But again, we just gave up 108, so we did a lot better last week. Florida's defense will hold Tennessee to under 200 yards rushing, so 67 better than their average. Keep it or pitch it.
Those Gator boys are rolling. They won 2 in a row. They want to win 3. It's going to be big time game in Neyland under the Knights. I'm keeping it.
Love it. I am as well. We have to keep them under 200 to win this game in my mind, and I will tell you why in a second. Because it comes back to some of the stuff from the Sims, which was extremely interesting. Surprising stats from the Sims coming at you in a second here. But okay. I think this is your key stat of the game: is what does our defense do against their run game, assuming that their run game is the key and that we are able to. Now there's a caveat here, and I will say this because Tennessee is not one-dimensional like UCF was. They can throw the ball. We know this, right? So we have to be solid against the pass as well. We cannot do what we did against UCF and leave wide open passing windows all over the field, or Tennessee is going to eat our lunch, as we know they can. This is not Joe Milton back there that's going to miss 5 out of 6 throws, and we're not going to get burned. And hey, that's what happened last year, right? We stopped their run last year.
Yep.
And we left passes wide open, and we didn't get burned because he couldn't throw an accurate ball. That's what happened. Let's be real. That's what happened last year in the Swamp. We can't do that again. We will get our lunch eaten if we do that. So we have to be disciplined in pass coverage. But if we're disciplined in pass coverage, at least in the man-to-man aspect with the corners, again, their top 2 receivers are out for the game. I know you have some notes on this that you're going to share. I won't steal your thunder. I'll let you share those. In fact, I'll let you share those first before I share my sim notes. But I think the key to this game is making sure that we keep their rush number under 200. If we do that, assuming that we do not give up some crazy pass number of 270 plus to Nico, I think we win this game. Not just cover, win. And I know the spread is still 16 points.
Yeah.
Forget that. I know we don't talk betting on this show, but forget a 16-point line. This is going to be a close game. Give me your input from Tennessee. I know you have an inside source. Talk to me about that for a little bit.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Cody. Some great insight from Knoxville. So a couple things. Squirrel Wright, star wide receiver, broken collarbone. So not even suiting up. He is out. Brew McCoy. Brew has done some bruising of his own, but guess what? He's done so much of it that he's got a bruised hand, wrist, arm. Not sure if he's even going to play. Not sure if he does play, how effective he'll be. All signs point to him not playing, but Brew being Brew, he's going to want to play. Cody says Florida's defense, right? We should run a 3-3-5 because Tennessee can't figure their way through it. Kind of basically what Arkansas just did a couple days ago. We should dial up some blitz packages because apparently their tackles, Tennessee's tackles, suck, quote unquote, and cannot block and doesn't have good lateral movement. Okay. And then he sees a lot of work being put on Dylan Sampson, their star running back, obviously top in the nation, top 5 running back in the nation. So he's going to have a heavy workload. Run blocking or stopping the run is going to be huge.
There you go. And then, what did we just say?
Yep. The last 2 points I'll say for thanks, Cody, is the first big night game in Neyland for the Gators and the Vols in a long time outside of the 2017 night matchup, because it's been CBS, the SEC on CBS for years, and that 3:30 slot. But more importantly, under the lights in Neyland, Nico Iamalieva's first start big SEC start. He didn't fare so well at Arkansas. Maybe he'll have some home cooking. Who knows? Because the Vols are 2-1 against the Gators in Checker Neyland games. Yes, this Saturday night is a Checker Neyland game. Very interesting.
Very interesting indeed, and a really good call out on the fact that it's a big game at night for a still inexperienced quarterback in Nico. Kid's got a ton of talent. It's not in dispute. I'm not knocking him, but you saw some of that inexperience if you watched that game last weekend, especially at the end. He made a very young, inexperienced play at the end of that game there. Very ill-advised move there at the end of that game. Now, hey, again, I'm not knocking him. He's young. He'll learn from it. He'll get better. He's got all the talent in the world. His arm talent is phenomenal. He's a great, great quarterback, but he's not perfect, and he's young, and that can lead to mistakes. So we'll see what happens. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's interesting because it's a high-pressure situation, and the night game to me adds pressure to that. Because it's going to be a big environment. Crowd's going to be rocking. You know, the 102 plus thousand, 102K, I believe, is kneeling capacity. They're going to be blowing it up, and it's going to be wild in there for sure. But we've got guys that know how to handle that, and I think we're going to come ready. So now for some sim notes. Really interesting. Ran 10 sims, as I always do for these games. I set lineups. I did take Brew McCoy out based on your feedback. I also, of course, took Squirrel White out. Okay. I put Wilson in, but I put Turner as the third string safety because I was not confident that he was going to play, so I did not put him as a starter. And set all the other injuries that we thought we'd have. I put Slackman as like a third string backup as well because I'm not sure he's going to play. I won't get into all the details of it, but I did the lineups as accurately as I thought I could based on injuries. Long story short, on the road with a night game in Neyland, we went 7-3.
What?
Yeah.
Shut your face.
I know. Now, just for the record, NCAA has been remarkably accurate at predicting wins and losses when I've run 10 sims. I mean, remarkably accurate. We went 9-1 against Mississippi State. We went 9-1 against UCF. We went 10-0 against Sanford. We went 4-6 against Miami. You saw what happened there. We went, I don't even know if it was 4-6. It might have even been 3-7, or maybe even 2-8 against Texas A&M. It was ugly. You saw what happened there, and that was Wegman starting, not the freshman. So that was a factor we didn't even have in because I didn't know that was going to happen when I ran the sims. Obviously, it's been remarkably accurate at predicting the right outcome. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying I'm using it as a predictive tool. I'm not. What was interesting, when Tennessee won, with one exception, one of the three was kind of a weird oddball game. I'm still not really sure how it happened, to be honest with you. It was very weird. We won time of possession, but they still won the game. It was a 2-point win for them. It was 21-19. We missed the 2-point conversion that would have tied the game. It was very weird. I don't really know how that one went down. It was strange. There was no turnover. There was no turnover discrepancy. Nothing that indicated why they would have won. That one was an oddball. It's kind of like the one you throw out, honestly. The other two, though, you want to take a guess how many rushing yards they had?
They had under 200.
No, the wins they had.
Oh. In the wins, they have north of 250.
Correct, sir. They had 247 in one and over 300 in the other.
Hey!
And the other 7 games, we won.
Holy smokes, man.
Yeah. Shocking. So
that's amazing news.
According to NCAA 25, odds are in our favor to win this game. It's just very interesting. I did not expect that. I would have never expected it. I would have thought, hands down, Tennessee is going to be the favorite here. Vegas is favoring him, everything else. According to NCAA 25, we're looking good. So we'll see how good it really is come Saturday. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go into this. The one thing I will tell you, though, very interestingly, the base defense for Florida in that game is a 3-3-5. So, for what that's worth, just a very interesting point there. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But last year, you mentioned Arkansas played them last week. Last year, when we were so effective against their run game in the Swamp, we played a 3-3-5 and did it very well. We also did it, I believe. No, we didn't do it 2 years ago with Tony. I apologize. But last year, we did run a 3-3-5 and played them very, very well with it. So to that end, we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not telling you to bet all your money on Florida. I do not advise that. That's not what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, it is very interesting what came out of this. The game ain't been wrong yet. That's all I'm going to say. So we'll see if it is this weekend. But my anticipation is at a high level to watch this game. I'm very interested. Based on what I have seen, I did not expect that outcome from the Sims, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So let's look forward to Saturday night, everybody. So to that end, we will wrap things up here. As always, thanks to everybody for taking the time. I know we went a little longer than normal tonight, a couple minutes over our normal 90-minute window that we try to keep to, but we, as always, we really try to make sure that we bring you, full and complete information and accurate information, as we've kind of made mention of the last few pods. We're really trying to keep an importance on that with all the misinformation we see. I can't tell you, I read yet again more articles over this week that were drastically incorrect. It just never ceases to amaze me. So we continue to try our best to keep it as accurate and as pertinent as we can, I guess is a good word to use. So to that end, we will wrap things up here. Anything you want to say before we close out there, Randy?
No, that's it, man. A great pod, great overall points. Happy that we got back-to-back wins. We'll take it. And
Absolutely.
Outside of that, don't forget to mention, our next pod.
Yeah, absolutely. We will, of course, be coming to you next week after Kentucky. Or I'm sorry, after Tennessee. Geez, before Kentucky. What am I talking about?
Get through Tennessee first, yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, so we'll hopefully bring you the outcome of this game come next week. So again, best wishes to everybody in Florida for the storm. Hope everybody comes through it as well as humanly possible, and hope the damage is minimal for everybody. Thoughts with everyone out there, and we'll talk to you soon.
100%. So everyone, take care, stay safe. If you are in an evacuation zone, that's all right. Do what you got to do. Take care of yourselves, take care of possessions, take care of families, evacuate as needed. Everyone stay safe, be well. And I'll tell you what, wherever you are, wherever you may be listening, thank you for taking the time, and we will see you around, Gator Nation.